Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio.
It's Mira Business FM. It's the morning drive here on Friday, the 13th of February. Wouldn't usually use dates in this show very much, but Friday the 13th, no sign of Freddie, so that's probably a good thing. I think tech, we're going to be talking now. Kevin Sebastian is a tech commentator. He's a tech journalist joining us on the line. Number of tech, I suppose, stories that we should be following this week. Kevin, it's good to be talking to you. Thanks for joining us again.
Thanks for having me again.
Good to see you. Flat tire this morning, I gather, so we've got you on Zoom, unfortunately.
Yep. Just happened, and
one of those slow punctures, a nail in the tire or something.
Yep, it's one of those tire-ending, career-ending incidents, and unfortunately, here we are.
It's tedious, isn't it? Well, look, I hope it gets fixed soon. The first thing I wanted to bring up with you, I've kind of pared this down because we've got a little bit less time, is Galaxy Unpacked is back February the 25th. So I imagine this is the launch in the main of the new, flagship S26 smartphone. But there will be other products as well.
Yes, of course. But the main thing now is that we are going to be seeing the Galaxy S26, the S26 Plus, and of course the S26 Ultra, which is the three flagship phones. And we don't have full clarity on whether or not we're going to see other additional products because we've had the Ring before revealed around this time. But usually during the Unpacked, we usually get to see most of it being centered around the S26. And the fun little fact that we've gotten now is that press images have already leaked, as Samsung does.
Yeah.
And we've already seen quite a few colors as well. So one of the things that we will know for sure is that the phones will get 12 GB RAM. And the S26, the base model, will get 4,300 milliamps of battery, while the S26 Plus will get the 4,900 milliamps of battery. In terms of actual design, there's very, very minimal design changes. And the problem here is that we're starting to see like phones becoming same. And I think this is a conversation we had previously. So Samsung really need to innovate on the software side. And one of the features that is being talked about, especially during the early leaks, is the concept of an AI privacy filter. So that if you're in a crowded space or in the metro, or around a lot of people, and you don't want people over your shoulder to see what you're looking on your phone, the privacy filter, the AI privacy filter, actually turns on a black screen effect on top of it, so only you can see your phone, and people on the side of you won't actually be able to see. So you have to actually view it at a certain angle. And a lot of the screen protectors had this feature, so now Samsung has it by default.
Well, that's a really interesting thing. I mean, I've got privacy glass on mine, and it's just like a matte. A piece of plastic on it, which is peeling off, I've just noticed. But that's a nice idea.
Yeah. And I think one of the things, again, is and this is something that a lot of people ask me, should I upgrade? The answer to that question is only if you're 3 generations behind. And that's a standard rule that applies even with the iPhone as well. Like, tech right now is becoming very samey, and I think a lot of the problems now, especially with the tech, is that we are getting less for and paying for more. And that evidence is very much supported with the fact that RAM prices are high. And again, technology as well, in terms of buying things right now, especially if they're new, means that you're going to be paying a premium on these products just because the components are expensive. Now, if you have an S24, S25, and you're happy with it, then there's absolutely no reason for an upgrade. But say, for example, you have an S23 or below that, or even like if you have an A series phone and you want to get the S26, because for me, the Samsung Galaxy series of phones, especially the S line of phones, is by far one of the best Android experiences you're going to have, because their ecosystem is so much more better. And they also have the fact that you can connect that to multiple smart home devices within the network as well. So that kind of flexibility is something I also appreciate when having a smart Samsung device. So that's the best thing. If you want the best Android experience, you're going to get it in this phone anyway, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be the case for this phone. But do you need to upgrade? That's a personal question. I think the consumers need to answer for themselves.
That's it. Really depends how much spare change there is bundling around the back of the sofa, I think. But I'm kind of with you. I did that. I went from an S22 to a 25 last year, and there's no reason for me to change as far as I can see at the moment. But anyway, we'll find out more on February the 25th for more detail. Just looking at a couple of things that you've sent through, earbuds, a couple of earbuds stories today.
Yes. In fact, this launch just happened yesterday. We've had two launches from two different companies. We had one from Soundcore, the Anchor brand.
Yeah.
And essentially, what is it? And like, in fact, I have the product right. I'm using it right now. It's called the Liberty Buds, and they are basically very, very, very good, but budget priced earphones. And what they do is they have something called ANC tech, which is active noise cancellation. And the beauty of that is that it has something called transparency mode, which allows external sound to come in naturally, so that if you're wearing earphones and you're on the road and you're basically jogging on a track, and you want to be aware of your you want to be aware of your surroundings. The idea is that this will allow some noise to come through. Say, for example, you're on the road and the car's behind you.
Yeah.
It'll actually pick up the frequencies of a moving vehicle, and that will then give you the awareness, oh, something's near me, I need to move. And that's the same case with the other product I have as well, the Sony earphones as well. It's a very long serial number, so it's called a WF1000XM6. And that is a way more premium product, again, by Sony, and they make the best in class earbuds every year. But the difference is the Soundcore headphones are at 399 dirhams. The Sony's are $330. So it is a huge premium to pay for the sound. Again, the Sony product I fully recommend for audiophiles, people who want an all-day battery life. In fact, not just all-day battery life, 32 hours of battery life.
That's pretty decent.
They're targeting the AirPods 3. This is the current market they're hitting at. And I have the previous generation, and I still use them to this day. Those are my daily drivers. But the Soundcore one is a very good budget option, where they also offer the same, almost the same. I can't say it's going to be the same comparatively, but on a 330 dirhams to get that kind of audio quality, still a good deal. So you have two different products. One's more high end, one's more mid range.
Story that I'm kind of interested in. I'm not a gamer, but I'm aware that, the rest of the world, it seems to me, is. And this is the story of the Sony buttonless controller. And I'm interested in what you think that means for the future of PlayStation gaming.
So buttonless controllers are not a new concept. We've had a few already. Like, look at Xbox's Kinect. I don't know if you ever had the pleasure of using one of those devices where it used motion controls.
Right.
The idea is that PlayStation are trying to lead onto something like that as well. In fact, PlayStation has something called the Move controller, which are two mic-shaped looking controllers, where if you move the stick along, it'll translate your movements in the game.
Yeah.
So what's clearly happening now is that I think with the next generation of PlayStation, because we are overdue now, we've been 10 years of the PlayStation 5, is that companies now, especially those that are doing virtual reality or at least augmented reality, are trying to integrate movement in the game itself. And we've seen that with the Nintendo Switch as well, with the controllers, with the way they operate. Now, the next generational leap of controllers, especially for gaming, is that people are now looking at cloud services where you don't need to buy the console, and you just have to buy a TV, which is what Samsung's doing right now with Xbox. Like, if you buy a Samsung TV, you'd only need to buy the physical controller to play the game. You no longer need to buy the console. But when it comes to PlayStation, their model might be a bit different, because, and this is also a very scary thing, especially if you're someone who cares about physical media and the ownership of the product you buy. Gaming is following a very weird model lately, is that they want you to pay the subscription of using a service to play the game, not physically owning a game. And that may not change anytime soon, but we're getting very, very close to that, especially when it comes to, say, for AI usage, for example. where when you're buying a laptop, you suddenly have to pay a subscription to use a service, even though the irony is that you purchased money already for the product itself. So
Right.
a lot of the gatekeeping is happening on that level as well. So I think the agency from the users being taken away, and that's kind of like a worrying sign. But it remains to be said how they're going to implement it.
Okay, so let's move on to iPhone 18 Pro leaks. I wanted to just talk about handsets a little bit more here, but a new under-display Face ID, new colors for the phone as well. Obviously, that's part of the purchase power that I guess iPhone try to employ. What do you know about the phone, Kevin?
So what we do know is that to differentiate between last year's model and this year's model is that I think what we're going to see is we're definitely going to see a more transparent finish this time around instead of the two-tone colors, which was quite controversial with some users. And three new color options for some users, which is coffee brown, purple, and burgundy. And the more important change is that because they now have a different chipset and the way they arrange the components within the iPhone, Face ID is actually moving under the display this time. So the front camera is going to be moving on the top left corner instead of the center like last time.
Okay.
So we may actually see the iPhone not having the dynamic island anymore. And on top of that, that means two things to me is that we're going to see a camera system where it's going to be way more better in terms of aperture, which means better low light photography, especially on the telephoto lens. And of course, the 24 megapixel upgraded camera on the front. So selfies are going to look way more crisp as well. But the interesting thing is that they're actually putting mechanical lens aperture fixtures, is the exact term for it. They're going to put those in on the rear camera as well. So I think they're really trying to up their game when it comes to mobile photography. So that's something we're going to see. And finally, the last change is, as always, the iPhone 18 Pro Max is reportedly going toe to toe with this Samsung Ultra this year with 5,200 milliamps of battery, which means all day battery life.
It's so interesting that the photography is so the center of attention in the new phone, because it seems to me that photography is pretty good with an iPhone as it is. I wonder how much of an increment you can make, but clearly there's more you can do.
Yeah, so one of the things is not just the way the hard and this is something as an Android user, I really appreciate what Apple do is that when the software works with the hardware, especially with the cameras, and in fact, a lot of people have noticed this, especially when you take a photo on Instagram with an iPhone on the app versus a camera app within the app with an Android, is that there is a lot of actual communication happening between the two layers here. And the beauty with Apple is that it's the way they innovate with their camera tech, and I think that much can be said, especially with people who make videos on the iPhone, like actual professional users rely on the iPhone more because again, its ability to create crisp-looking video, which Samsung, to its credit, is catching up to. But all of these brands are playing catch up, and I think especially with their modes like cinematic mode, where when you zoom in, it doesn't feel jarry. It actually feels like a cinema camera zooming into a subject. That's just like again little things that camera puts into its innovations, and just generally that when people see that, and again through the power of marketing, they're like, oh yeah, Apple is significantly better, even though it did not be the case when you compare it head to head with another brand. But the final thing about this one, and I forgot to add this, is that the price is actually going to stay the same. Like, Apple's giving users incentivized to do the trade-in program, but at the same time, if you want to buy the next generation, you're pretty much going to spend the same amount of money. So there's no big difference here. And again, this is going to be coming in September. So if people are not happy with the 17 Pro Max, I guess they can do a trade-in and get the 18 Pro Max instead.
Okay, so that's the iPhone 18 Pro. A couple of leaks there. Kevin, unfortunately, that's all the time we've got today. Hopefully you get back on the road soon, but do appreciate you making time to join us. Thank you.
Thanks for having me as always.
Great. Kevin Sebastian, tech journalist and commentator, joining us here at Mirror Business FM. Another reminder, another podcast coming your way, another show as well today. Crossroads is a new show. It's all about the business of entertainment and media, and it's Dr. David Tully and Dima Magalsi from Middlesex University here at Mirror Business FM.